Hey everyone, it's Laura Klein with OrganicAuthority.com. Today I have with me Dr. Don DeSylvia, an integrative and functional medicine doctor and founder of the Center for Whole Health right here in Los Angeles. Today we're going to talk about some fun, exciting stuff like the importance of nutrition and gut health. In fact, she just wrote an awesome article for us, The Disease-Diet Connection Doctors Still Don't Want You to Know About. If you haven't read it, head over to Organic Authority and check out our homepage. Full disclosure, Dr. DeSylvia guides mine and my mother's medical care. She has done amazing things like help me beat brain fog, heal a torn meniscus in my right knee, bounce my energy back to normal, and get me back into my regular workout. But my mother has experienced more dramatic results at age 80. She has chronic food sensitivities that have gotten worse over the years with a declining immune system. After years of repeat visits to urgent cares, ERs, and visiting over a dozen different doctors with zero results, Dr. DeSylvia was able to put my mother on a new regimen to heal her gut. And we saw dramatic results in just 2 months, which literally gave her her life back. Welcome, Dr. DeSylvia.
Thank you, Laura.
So let's talk about the gut and nutrition and how the food we eat literally affects the expression of our genes.
Yes.
Like, who knew that? Who knew the food we eat, affects our genes? How does this happen?
Well, another thing that is even more interesting is this is not new news. These were studies that Dean Ornish did. I mean, they started being published in the early 2000s. So this is almost 20-year-old science that, we are what we eat. I mean, what we put into our body is the building block for every cell, every organ, every tissue. So if we are putting something in that fortifies and supports our biology, that's going to lead to health. If we're putting things in that are foreign to our immune system, which I'll talk about in a minute, that literally not only is going to make us not feel good when we're eating it or after we're eating it, leads to a breeding ground for disease to develop, but it can actually turn on and off our genetics. And so one of the studies that Dean Ornish did was he looked at men who had prostate cancer, and he took a group of them that over 3 months he did nothing else but change their diet from a high sugar, processed, chemical-based diet, had them eating whole foods, organic foods, reduced the sugar, started having exercise and community. Within 3 months, you guys, 500 genes altered their expression.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is really crazy. And so I guess this is maybe a little too technical, but how are they measuring the changes in these gene expressions?
Yeah, so if you YouTube, he has a video and he has the whole mapping sequence of how you do that. I mean, and it's a lot of science, but it's a cool thing to watch and see how it lights up and the expression of healthy genes were turned on, and the silencing of these cancer harmful genes were shut off.
Okay, so that's amazing. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit more, like turning on these healthy genes. What are these healthy genes doing that are making us healthier?
Right. So let's go back then to our diet and our immune system and what's happening from that perspective. So the whole job of our immune system is to recognize what is foreign. And so what's happening in our diet right now, and again, what you're doing and the work you're doing in educating people about the importance of eating organic. So when we are eating non-organic, chemically sprayed, processed foods, our biology is seeing these substances as something foreign. We've never seen these molecules before, and our immune system is saying, this looks really weird. And in all of its innate wisdom and intelligence, it wants to protect us. It thinks this is somebody coming in, attacking us, so it's mounting an immune response.
Interesting.
And so then the common breeding ground for disease, what we're finding in science, is inflammation. So an immune system that is chronically inflamed is creating this environment of inflammation. So what the gene expression then is doing is when we dial down the inflammation and we give things to our body that support a healthy microbiome in our gut, a healthy immune system. We make more than 70% of our immune cells in our gut.
That is crazy. And that's fairly new science, right? Meaning like the discovery of 70% of our immune cells, or is it not?
1970, Dr. Michael Gershon, almost 40 years ago, wrote a book called The Second Brain. And he was recognizing this interconnection between the gut and the brain, and how important our immune system is in the foundation of our health. So
it kind of makes me angry though, like why are we just talking about this now within like really, the past 5, 6, 7 years? It's really kind of made mainstream media, and I would still consider it fringe.
It is. I mean, I cannot tell you how many educated patients come to me, and this is new information for them. It still is not in the traditional doctor's office. I mean, conventional medicine.
That is crazy.
Conventional medicine knows it's important to eat healthy, but again,
does it really?
What is eating healthy to them?
Right.
It really is still antiquated science. It's calories. It's not about the quality of our food, or even then take it a step further. It's not only what we eat, but how we eat. So there's all these factors.
So are you saying like great health isn't just about counting calories and eating, diet foods and sodas and things like that? I mean, just kind of give me, I know we can't cover all the details, but if you could give me kind of like a brief overview of what you consider a healthy diet is.
Yeah. So first of all, a healthy diet involves, and this is part of why I think not only organic is important because it doesn't have as many chemicals, it's not processed, it doesn't have all the pesticides, but it comes from a lineage of mindfulness. People are being, you have these farmers that have these organic farms that are very, conscientious about their work and their food.
Right.
And so that translates through the farmers markets to the kitchen table, to where people are cooking together, and that the science behind that is we're just starting to recognize.
Interesting.
So that's vital.
Yeah.
The other part of it, so that's a vital part of a healthy diet, is actually getting whole foods that our biology is used to recognizing, that our ancestors ate.
And for those who don't know, maybe just quick kind of fundamental 101, define a whole food.
Right. So a whole food is something that doesn't come in a package usually. They're rarely, because of our some of the information, we can find whole foods in packages, but generally it's meats and vegetables that are organic, and fruits and nuts and berries and those things. It's something that has not been chemically modified. It grows out of the ground in that fashion.
And it's real whole form.
Yeah.
That's how I like to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so nutrition, it sounds like, is really the foundation for like peak human health.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah. It's the physical foundation. It's definitely, and there's a reason Bruce Lipton, who is renowned stem cell biologist, that was discovering the impact of these pluripotent cells, way before regenerative medicine and alternative medicine, and now conventional medicine is recognizing the therapeutic properties of these pluripotent cells.
And what are pluripotent cells?
Pluripotent cells it's a cell that can become anything. It has, and so that's in our embryonic development as we're developing. What he discovered is the reason why my hair became what it was because it had this pluripotent cell inside of my mother's womb, and then it had all of these signaling messengers around it that told it what to become.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'll just back up. Bruce Lipton said that nutrition is the #1 culture medium for our health. So what we are putting in our body surrounds the cells of our body to either culture out health or culture out disease. And if we're putting in whole foods, those are the building blocks that turn off harmful genetics, turn on protective genes, healthy genes, help us feel better, help us feel more vital. And by the same fashion, if we're putting in chemicals and processed food, that literally turns on unhealthy genes, puts us at disease risk because of the inflammation it causes in our body.
So let's just elaborate. Let's kind of go back to 101 just a little bit more. So kind of expand a little bit on what you think are chemicals and processed foods that we should be aware of. So
right.
people aren't familiar with this.
Yeah. So and again, we're just not taught to read labels, and so high fructose corn syrup is not only highly addictive. So it's not just, people come to me and they're like, I just, once I start eating sugar, it's not just lack of willpower. They actually are putting addictive chemicals into these foods that make you want to eat it more.
Yes, in these processed foods that come out of, I'm going to call it big food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's there. A big topic is the toxins, mercury, lead. These toxins, it's not just from amalgams in our mouth or the fish. There's a lot of toxic metals in processed foods that people aren't aware of as well.
And I can attest, having gone through a heavy metal detox and getting all those chemicals out of your body, it makes a huge difference in your mental clarity and also your energy.
And weight loss. I have so many patients who are saying,
I
am eating everything right and I can't lose weight.
Yep.
What is going on?
Yep.
And metals literally throw a wrench in the metabolism of our cells. And so, again, calories in, calories out isn't solving the problem. And once we start to remove the toxins from the food, the weight starts to come off because your metabolism is able to function. Yeah.
No, I experienced the same thing. All of a sudden, like the 10 pounds I've been trying to drop, it just melts off. Okay, so let's go back to the gut a little bit and the gut imbalance and our immune system. So I feel like, what are the signals or the symptoms or the whispers that somebody should start to pay attention to that's, comes from the human body that tells you, what, my gut may not be so healthy?
And I love the way you said the whispers, because again, in our culture and in Western medicine, we don't listen to the body until it's screaming at us. Mm-hmm. It does not pay attention. As you know, with your mother, you went from, and her body was screaming to her. Yeah. And the doctors were still saying, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to really listen to the subtle cues of the body, which is so important, because we're never going to 100% ameliorate our disease risks, but we can greatly reduce it if we start to listen to it. So the symptoms can be pretty much anything. I mean, a lot of our mental health issues, the brain fog, the anxiety, the insomnia, the depression is a sign of gut imbalance.
Really?
Yeah.
I really don't know many doctors or any doctors that would say, look at those symptoms.
Yeah. I would recommend going to Kelly Brogan's site. She's an integrative psychiatrist, and she's done a tremendous amount of work and has a lot of knowledge too about the impact of this.
Okay, so Kelly Brogan, is that Kelli or Y?
Y.
Brogan, Brogan.
Yeah.
Okay. Check her website out.
So taking back your
she has a book called A Mind of Your Own.
Mind of Your Own.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and a lot of good resources about how much, and yes, there are many other things that can be causing anxiety, depression, insomnia, but let's, don't pass go until you look at the basics of what you are feeding the cells in your body can be literally causing neuroinflammation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And kids too, autism, ADD, all of this stuff has, foundations, and nutrition can really change the terrain of what we're working with.
So if somebody has an inkling that their gut is off, what are some baby steps, simple steps that they can take to really kind of get back on that road to health?
Well, it's so interesting, and because the first one is obviously moving away from processed foods, going back to a whole diet. But for most people, that is not a baby step. That is a giant leap.
Yeah.
We are so attached to our foods and the way our taste buds, acclimate towards things and what feels right. And also, because we're accustomed to familiarity, something that's new can feel not right. And so I really encourage people to take baby steps and just approach it with a curious nature and start to explore things, because your cravings will change.
They do. Even your palate changes if you give it a chance. This is one thing not a lot of people talk about, is like, you know, when you grow up, Americans, we grow up with this palate that loves salt, that loves sugar, you know, everything that's processed and all that kind of stuff. But once you start re-educating, and it's literally, that's what it is, re-educating your palate, you start to desire and crave delicious whole foods because they are.
And your taste buds change, but then also your brain starts to come back online.
It does.
And the feeling that you get when you eat these foods is almost immediate. And similarly, then you become more sensitized to the junk that you're eating. So when you start to eat that food, oh my gosh. I mean, I have patients that, you know, their body really starts to become a better messenger to them.
It does.
About what it needs to be healthy and what it really wants.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be so easy for you to say no to, you know, foods that are kind of like really should be off limits, whether it's, you know, just super sweets, cake, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's actually quite crazy how easy it becomes to say no, because you don't want to feel like caca. You really don't. Okay, so you kind of already touched on this, but let's just let's talk about it a little bit more detail. So how does one begin to understand one's unique biology when it comes to food? Because, you know, obviously we know diet is not a one size fits all, and what may be right for me may not be right for you, and may not be right for you.
Absolutely. And so this is where some of the genetic testing, I think, is really helpful, because, I mean, when you work with a practitioner, you guys will start to understand what your body's saying and start to understand the signals and messages of what exactly is best for you. But the genetic testing is helping us guide that. And so there's some online testing, direct to consumer labs that you can get. Some are better than others. One that I really like is a company that I started using, Nordic Labs, called DNA Diet. And this really talks about, you know, are you someone who should be paleo? Are you someone who's better keto or vegetarian?
Helpful.
It's really helpful, because there's so much information out there, and I can't tell you how many patients come to me and they're like, oh, I just read this and I tried this, but I feel terrible. And it's just because everybody's unique, and at different points in your life you may need different things as well.
So true. What fuels me today did not fuel me, you know, 10 years ago. Very different. All right, so let's wrap this up. Are there any more tips on this that you would like to share to help people get on the road to health and take control of their health too? Because our current medical system is not doing it.
Yes. So again, follow you on Organic Authority.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No, you have so much great information, and education is key, and I say this all the time, that my profession, for as well intended as we are doing, you know, not a good enough job at educating people. The root word of physician is to teach. It's to educate. It's to share the science of what we know makes people healthy and contributes to disease states. And so educating yourself through reliable sources. Again, there's so much information online, so it's important to find sources that have, are committed to integrity. Your source, my website, the Center for Whole Health.net, we're publishing a lot of things there. The Institute of Functional Medicine is a great resource. So really educating yourself, and as much as you can, starting to remove processed foods, refined sugars, and eat a whole balanced diet. Is and eat it with people that you love in a mindful manner. That's really important.
One last thing. You mentioned, I saw you speak one time, and you mentioned how important community is for health too. And I think that's really important, because nobody talks about that. We need community.
We do. And there's studies that are done, not to discredit the importance of our diet, but there are studies that are done that take communities that are not eating all that healthy, but are eating in community, that are eating with people that they love, that feel a sense of purpose in their lives. And that is, there's a great quote by Mother Teresa that in a documentary that she made, and she said, when I come to America, everybody always asks me, how can you live with so much poverty? And she said, I see a poverty here far greater than any I've ever seen. You guys have a poverty of spirit. And that impacted me so much because we, you know, in our industrial era, we're so disconnected from really caring for each other in a way that has meaning, and I think we're getting back to that. I think the good news is all of our, you know, science and our technology is pointing us back to we can be very clever and discover a lot of things, but unless we feel like we belong, unless we feel we have a purpose, unless we feel heard, that is not fortifying our health and giving us joy and happiness. So
that is amazing, Dr. DeSylvia. You had really, really awesome. I think I'm your biggest fan. Anyway, okay, everyone, please follow Dr. DeSylvia at
the centerforwholehealth.net, or on Instagram we're Center for Whole Health.
And thank you so much for watching. To find out when our next interview goes live, please sign up for our newsletter. You can go to organicauthority.com, and in the upper right corner, you can sign up for the newsletter. We announce everything there. We also have like special deals and that type of thing we offer exclusively to our audience. I want to thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.